I'm the Beauty Professor, and you can find my beauty blog at www.beautyprofessor.net. I've made it no secret that foundations are my passion. I'm always on the hunt for the best base for my skin type at that moment, certainly my shade, and we all know that our skin changes tone over the course of an entire year. And because there's constantly foundations being released, I am always keeping one eye open to see what's next and what's new. And certainly I have an extended interest in those foundations that seem to be the most difficult to track down. Something about the thrill of the hunt for me. At any rate, today's video is all about base. And I am going to be covering some primers I've been using lately, some foundation discoveries, some concealers, and some powders. And I'm going to try to make this succinct, but I wanted to talk about the different products I've been experimenting with in the last few weeks. So let's start with primers first. I have discussed the fact that my favorite primer on the face of the planet is the La Métier de Beauté Peau Vierge, and I just recently picked up this new 2-ounce tube. It's new for me, it's not new on the market. They've been selling it in the 2-ounce version for a while now. But I finished my 1-ounce bottle, I had one remaining, and so I've picked it up in shade 2, which is my shade for the entire year. This particular primer acts as a moisturizer, an illuminator. It's slightly tinted, and if you just want to throw something on your skin and run without putting on anything else, this is the way to go. It just gives you a beautiful kind of dewy glow, but there's also skincare benefits. There's retinol inside. It's just one of those perennial products for me. I use it daily, and I wanted to mention this as one of my favorite primers. Next is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, and I must admit I ordered this a couple of months ago and it sat in the box for a while. I had been testing so many different products that I didn't have a chance to integrate this into any form of a routine, but recently I unboxed it and have tried it, and I'm really intrigued by it. It actually, my experience kind of supports what I think has been the hype of this cream, and it's $95 for a whole jar like this. It's a full 1.7 ounces, so you are getting a lot of product. It has a really soft rose scent, and I tend to be kind of adverse to scented products, but I've used this long enough to confirm that it hasn't in any way irritated my sensitive skin. And this cream kind of does it all. It can hydrate, so you can mix it in. Sometimes on a particularly dry day, I can combine these two products and get a beautiful glowing base. You can also just wear it alone over a serum. It's very emollient, and it does add a bit of a dewy glow, but there is, without employing any form of light reflecting particles. There is no shimmer, there is no glitter to speak of. It's just a radiance that's super natural because it's more of a sheen base. So I'd be curious to find out your experience with Magic Cream if you've tried it, and I'll continue experimenting with it. Finally, my latest primer procurement is the By Terry Terribly Denselisse primer, and this is an anti-wrinkle. It's a serum, and it is beautiful. It is white, so in that way it just visually reminds me of the Magic Cream. You can see it goes on white, and I'm only using a dot because By Terry stuff is just so precious. I don't want to waste it, but I wanted to show you. It smooths over the skin in a lovely fashion that really just fills in, kind of like a perfecting veil for the skin, and it holds makeup really well. So I find my makeup, whatever the foundation is that I choose, adheres very effectively to this primer. It does have a scent very similar to the Denselisse foundation, which I have swatched, and I'll link to that below in the details box. But I don't find this scent to be in any way irritating as well. I've used the Denselisse foundation for a couple of years now without any kind of incident. So all in all, I'm looking forward to kind of the long-term benefits, you know, anti-aging, if you will, of this primer. But so far, it just gives an instantly beautiful effect to the skin. And those are my initial thoughts on this primer. Because I'm on the subject of By Terry, I'll just mention that my additional makeup for today involves a serious round of By Terry. I am wearing the Ombre Black Stars right now, which are creaseless cream eyeshadows. I've discussed them many times, both on my blog and in videos. And I'm wearing it in Bronze Moon all over my lid, and a touch of the Brown Perfection, which is a deeper, kind of opaque, less shimmery brown in the crease. And then I just take a brush and blend it all outward up towards my brow bone, and then a little more right under my lower lash line. It's a very simple eye, it's clean, it's easy to achieve, and it stays in place. There is no moving with this particular formula, so these are spectacular. And then for lips, I'm wearing the new by Terry Velvet Rouge, and this is in the shade 1, the latest offering, and it's called Lady Bear. So you can see on the lips, it's got a little bit of shine. It's super opaque. Just one swatch of this and you'll be so stunned by how much opacity is going on with this formula. It's not drying, it doesn't cake or pool, it stays on for hours. And so I'm really pleased. I've swatched every shade in this particular formula lineup, and it's either already on my blog as this video airs, or it will be up later on this week. So either way, I'll make sure to link to it when that link becomes live. In terms of foundation, my goodness, I have quite a collection, and it seems to be growing with every passing week. And so while there are many foundations that I keep in my rotation because I love them, I want to just talk about 3 specifically, or this video will be insurmountably long. So the first is one I've mentioned many times over. It's the Tom Ford Traceless Perfecting Foundation, and I wore it pretty much exclusively in the summer in the shade number 5, which is Natural. It is natural in this formula. It is definitely darker than Natural in the stick, or even in just the original Traceless formula. And I have swatches that I'll share in the details box. But this foundation is so great for a long wearing kind of experience. I buff it on with a damp beauty blender, and then it just stays in place for the entire day over primer. And there's no creasing, it doesn't get cakey, it doesn't get greasy. I don't know what Tom Ford put into this formula to make it so amazing, but it truly is a fantastic long-wearing foundation, and I always recommend it when my readers ask me, hey, what foundation should I embrace for a super long day? I have very long work days when I'm teaching, and this is what I go to in a pinch. I did bump up to a lighter shade right now, and I've been mixing it with Natural. I think I mentioned I picked up Bare Beige, but I have since exchanged Bare Beige for Fawn, which I've never been. It's awfully light. It's a light yellow, maybe an NC20. But when I mix it with the Natural, which is at an NC 25 to 27, it's perfect for my NC 23 to 25 skin right now. Bare Beige did something strange with my chemistry that wasn't evident when I initially swatched it. Even though it looks like a great NC 23 to 25, for me, it got really peachy in an oxidized fashion, and I haven't had that experience with either of these shades. So I do mix Natural with Fawn, which is shade number 3, and I get a fantastic match for my skin, and hopefully that will help those of you wearing this foundation who share a similar skin tone perhaps. Next is the Sensai Cellular Performance Cream Foundation, and I can't believe I'm saying this in a video because the Kanebo Sensai line, which I was wildly loyal to over the last couple of years, sadly left the country in April. It's a Japanese-owned company, and the company went through a sale to another Japanese-owned company, and they decided to pull all of the product, both skincare and color, from the United States. So it's still available in Asia, but this foundation has undergone some reformulations over that time period, so it's been very hard to track down. I have one jar left that I've been kind of hoarding, and then a couple of readers alerted me to the fact that the Sensai, which dropped the Kanebo name, is available in the UK at Harrods. And so I placed an order, and I will say ordering from Harrods was a breeze. It was very quick, it was easy to do, a secure transaction. And I got my product in what feels like about a week, so it was fast and easy, and I will definitely be ordering from them again. Harrods does carry some beauty lines that we don't have here in the United States readily, so starting with the Sensai, I was concerned that perhaps this formula would feel vastly different from the formula of a very exact name, the Kanebo Sensai Cellular Performance Cream Foundation, but I'm happy to report it's exactly the same. I'm number 22 Natural Beige in the original, and I am in this as well. The jar is different, the packaging is different, but other than that, the formula is exactly the same. It's cushiony, it's medium to full coverage, it's got skincare benefits. It just glides under the skin in a beautiful fashion, and truly I will never tire of this formula. It's kind of the perennial go-to for me outside of the Tom Ford that I've just mentioned, and I've gone through 2 or 3 jars of this thus far. So I'm thrilled to say that the Sensai is easily available for those of us living in the States if we want to order online, and it's just fantastic to kind of have this back in my routine again. just so good when your skin needs an extra boost and lift. And you do get a really dewy finish with this, but it doesn't get oily throughout the day. Just looks like really good. Finally, I want to discuss the Shu Uemura, the Light Bulb Oleo Packed Foundation. And this is another Harrods order. Because I was ordering, I thought, what else can I order from there to kind of justify my shipping? And so I picked this up. I haven't used Shu Uemura in quite a while, since it left the United States a few years ago, and I had experience with the Face Architect and the Nobara cream, the stick, and the one in the square. So I've used this line for years, but just not recently. And so this is a take on the Light Bulb foundation, which does come in a liquid, and they also have a powder. This is the cream, and it was most recently released of all of the Shu foundations. And I'm wearing it in number 564, which is medium light sand. And the Shu Uemura foundations I find run very yellow, so I actually kind of go for the more neutral, even though I have yellow undertones, because the yellow is very pronounced. At any rate, this is it, and it is a shockingly amazing foundation. I can't express probably adequately how much I love this. I'm wearing it right now. So the goal with this foundation is to offer a medium to buildable full coverage base that looks like beautiful skin, has a slight glow but is not too glowy, and it manages to be able to hold up throughout the course of the day, so you never get to that place where your skin feels unfresh, tight, patchy, oily. I've tried this in a few different environments and can personally attest to the fact that it really lives up to its claims. I've put it on and worn it for 12 hours non-stop in heat, in direct sun, and it doesn't feel when you put it on like it's going to be a long wearing foundation. In fact, when I put it on my face, I'm kind of like tempted to think, what's going on here? Does this look right? Does this look natural? But within a few seconds, it just melts to the skin and it looks pristine. So it almost feels like two different foundations, the one that you initially apply and the one that it transforms into over the course of about 60 seconds, maybe maximum. And it stays in place. No creasing, nothing patchy, doesn't get oily, which is rare with a cream formulation, and it just has beautiful wear. I seriously have been very surprised, especially later on in the day when I check my makeup and I haven't touched it up at all, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this is still in place. I'm really impressed. So it's the first cream foundation, like in a compact, that I have felt this way about in quite a while, strictly because its lasting power is so significant. It does have this special domed sponge, and that is so that you have no harsh lines when you're applying. It allows you to get right into the creases nicely and give you a seamless finish. And one thing about this, it's not refillable, so I know many Shu products are. This one is not yet. But all in all, I'm extremely glad that I just took a chance and bought it. For concealers, I want to discuss three, and they've been heavily used in my getting ready process. The first is the Surratt Beauty Surrealist Skin Concealer. I've discussed this many times over, and I have every shade swatched on my blog. I'll link to that. I wear it in shade 5, and it matches my skin for most of the year. I love it under the eyes because it doesn't crease, it stays in place, and it just looks like skin. It truly is a beautiful formulation for looking like real skin. It doesn't look like concealer on the skin. It also covers blemish as well, so if you need to dot it on a dark spot or a blemish, it takes care of business and it stays in place, and it doesn't break down over the day, which I fear is oftentimes a caveat with concealer, especially concealer with good coverage. Concealer that is quite fantastic is the Chantecaille Camouflage Stylo or Stylo, and I wear it in shade 3, which is a good match for my skin, NC25 or so. It's intended to work above and under the skin surface to improve darkness, puffiness. It has skincare infused into it, and Chantecaille is big on having skincare in the makeup. So this is one of those such products, and it's a new release for them. I've been experimenting with it for the last few weeks, and I'm just really pleased with how it works on my skin. I don't use it for covering a blemish or a dark spot, but it's exceptional in the under eye region. It provides coverage, no shimmer, and yet looks just like your regular skin. There is no creasing or obviousness. The click pen is great too. Instead of the twist with the brush, it's a click, and I think that makes it a lot easier when you're trying to dispense some in a rush. The By Terry Terribly Danceli's concealer. I've discussed this before. I have it in shade 4, which is medium peach. And since my skin has lightened up quite a bit since getting it, I also have it in shade 3, which is natural beige. And I think this is great for the NC 20 to 25 crowd. Once again, it has skincare. I'd say that this natural beige is more of a yellow beige rather than a peachy one like the Chantecaille. And of course, they serve different purposes for one's tastes. But it just is seamless under the eyes. I can use this to cover a dark spot as well because it's a little more opaque. No shimmer, but it truly brightens up the entire eye area. And I am wearing this shade right now on my skin, along with the Shu foundation I mentioned. For illuminators, I'm paring it down to 2 only. And one is I've used for well over a year now, and that is the Cove Aqua Foundation Illuminator in shade Sheer Beige. And this has one of the most gorgeous, naturally illuminating sheens I've encountered. As a liquid goes, it's just fantastic. So I really appreciate the portability, and I'm never disappointed. I can mix it into foundation. I can wear it a little bit on top. You can just dot it with your finger in the light points of your face, and it doesn't get greasy. It stays in place. And the Sheer Beige I think is really flattering, slightly warmer illuminator for most skin tones. And then there's also the Charlotte Tilbury Wonder Glow, which I've put a nice little dent in since getting it about a month ago. And this is similar in texture to the Cove, though it's a little creamier, less liquid. And I feel like it's a little more yellow gold rather than the beige illuminator of the Cove. All in all, it's a beautiful product. I use it the same way I do the Cove. I mix it into a foundation, make my own little concoction, or you can add some post foundation application. But I know I said I had 2, but I need to mention this third one because it's a powder, not a Charlotte Tilbury Bronze and Glow. And gosh, this palette is not really camera ready, but it's definitely been used, and that's what this dust is indicative of. I just use it like crazy in the morning and then take off. The contour is amazing, but to talk about the illuminator for a second, sometimes when I don't want to deal with a liquid, I just use the shiny part, the illuminating part on my brow bone, and it just adds a nice light to the skin. You can put it up through here, down the nose. I use this compact daily, and I'm stunned by the fact that I still have this much in light of the fact I picked it up in July. But it's a great illuminator or highlighter as well. And finally, for powders, I am committed to just speaking about 2. One is the By Terry Terribly Dancelise powder in number 3, which is Vanilla Sand. And it's a perfect match for my skin right now, and I think it will be for the rest of the year. It's got a little more pigmentation than maybe a typical powder I would go for at this time. But it doesn't oxidize. It is so silky smooth. It offers decent coverage, so you can wear it over perhaps a lighter foundation or just dust it to touch up your skin. Sometimes, even though it comes with a sponge, I like using a fluffy brush to just put some on all over my face. And Jenny Patikin powder brush, it's great, so soft, and I can just apply quickly without any kind of obviousness. The compact is stunning, as is to be expected with By Terry products. It's heavy metal, and the quilting on this powder is lovely. So I've discussed it already. I wanted to mention it in this video because I've been using it a lot as a touch-up, as a setting powder, and even to add a little bit of coverage over a lighter foundation. Just supreme. And then finally, while we're in the midst of luxury powders, I couldn't go without mentioning the Burberry foundation powder. This is the Sheer Foundation Luminous Compact, and I'm wearing it in trench number 6. I actually have it on right now, and it is just a fantastic foundation. I don't know why I never tried this, especially because Burberry has been accessible to me for a few years in my area, but it is just amazing. It's creamy, it's opaque. You can see it actually maybe more opaque than the By Terry because it is a foundation powder. I haven't worn it as just the foundation. I like to use it over a lighter foundation or perhaps just lightly set a base with it. And sometimes, especially if I wear it in combination with the Shu, I find that I don't even need to touch up for like 8 or 9 hours. My skin just stays looking the same. It's shocking. I look in the mirror and I'm thinking I need to touch up and I don't. So whatever properties are going on in here are quite stalwart because my makeup stays very much intact. So I'm absolutely loving this Burberry foundation powder as well. I'd love to hear your experience if you've tried this one. And before my lighting situation drastically changes anymore, the sun is starting to go down, so concludes my current base products that I've been loving video. Gosh, that was an unnecessarily long title. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of base products, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the products I've discussed. Also, of course, if you have questions, please leave them in the comment box below. I will be working on my November favorites. It's wild to think that this month is almost over, but that will be my next video coming up soon. And as always, please don't forget to visit me and my beauty blog, A Beauty Professor, which can be found at www.beautyprofessor.net. Take care.